For too long, powerful nations have spoken about Africa as though we are a distant project, a charity case, a chessboard where strategies are played and deals are made behind closed doors. They gather at global forums, summits, and media interviews and speak of helping Africa, developing Africa, or worse, saving Africa, as if we cannot stand without their crutches. Yet when we speak, they do not listen. When we rise, they try to suppress us. And when we confront the truth, they label us as rebels, radicals, or threats to their so-called order. But today, I am not here to ask for permission. I am here to state a truth that no longer hides behind polite diplomacy. This stage, this microphone, this moment, it's not just mine. It belongs to the generations before us who were silenced, exploited, and erased. And it belongs to the generations coming who refuse to be shackled by the same chains. Let's stop pretending this is about diplomacy. Let's stop pretending that Africa is poor by accident, that our nations struggle because of internal failures alone. The world needs to hear this. Africa was robbed, piece by piece. Our minerals, our oil, our gold, our diamonds, our cocoa, our people, extracted, exported, and profited on by foreign powers who never asked, who never apologized, and who never stopped. While our children walk miles for clean water, corporations sign billion-dollar contracts for the resources beneath their feet. While our youth are forced to migrate across deserts and oceans for survival, our wealth is flown out in private jets. And where was the world when we said enough? Where was the world when we refused to sign one-sided deals that favored your multinationals and impoverished our farmers? Where was the world when we said we no longer want military bases built on our soil, not to protect us, but to control us? Suddenly, we became enemies. Suddenly, your newspapers started calling us anti-democratic. Suddenly, your sanctions started tightening. You talk about democracy, but only when it serves your interest. You speak of freedom, but only for those who obey your orders. You build alliances, but only with those who sign your contracts, adopt your currency, and let your intelligence agencies roam freely. And then you come to us and say, "Why are you angry?" I will tell you why. We are angry because we have been lied to for decades. Lied to with smiles, with aid packages that come with chains, with loans that drown us in debt, while your companies collect the real profit. And let us speak frankly about your so-called fight against corruption in Africa. You arrest the small man, you humiliate the local leaders who resist, but you never touch the foreign banks, where the stolen money rests. You never name the oil firms that paid the bribes, or the lobbyists who wrote the contracts, or the billionaires who sit on your boards while destroying our environment and dividing our communities. You have built an entire global order where Africa is always last. Last in decision-making, last in recognition, and last in benefit. And yet, first when it's time to take, first when you need soldiers, first when you need resources, and first when you need to shift blame. This ends now. We are not children waiting for approval. We are not your charity case, your experiment, or your backup plan when your systems fail. We are a continent of sovereign nations, of proud people who remember everything you hoped we'd forget. And we are no longer afraid to name the ones who came with a handshake, but carried a knife behind their backs. You speak about global cooperation, but real cooperation does not come through force. It does not come through regime change. It does not come through threats. Real cooperation begins with truth. And the truth is, many of your leaders have directly benefited from the chaos in Africa. They have profited from war, from famine, from division. Some even sit here today, smiling in suits, while the very policies they shaped continue to destroy lives in our lands. Let us also not forget the games played through the media. The images broadcasted around the world are not of our innovation, not of our culture, our resilience, our science, our art. No, the cameras come only when there is blood, when there is disaster, when a narrative can be created to portray us as hopeless. Yet when we build, When we rise, when we lead with courage, you turn the camera away. We no longer accept this role you wrote for us. We are not passive players in your global theater. We are not extras in your story. We are the authors of our own future. And if speaking this truth makes us a threat in your eyes, then so be it. If demanding fairness makes us difficult, then we will be difficult. If defending our dignity makes you uncomfortable, then maybe you need to ask why that is. Today is not a warning. It is a declaration. We will no longer be silent while others write our destiny. We will no longer trade our resources for crumbs. We will no longer accept leaders who serve foreign interests over their own people. The time has come to reclaim what was always ours, our land, our voice, our pride. And if anyone believes they can still silence Africa, they are not paying attention. The silence is over. The resistance has begun. They tried to silence us. They tried to write us out of history, to keep us quiet in the backrooms while they decided our future without ever asking for our voice. For decades, Africa has been spoken about. In meetings, in speeches, in books, but rarely spoken with. And when we did speak, our words were filtered, distorted, ignored. Our leaders were told to be polite, to be calm, to negotiate softly, to wait our turn. But now, let this be known across every capital, every media house, every boardroom, and every institution that still sees Africa as a place to manage, not as a partner to respect. Africa will no longer be silenced. We are no longer begging for a seat at your table. We are building our own. And on that table, we bring our dignity, our resources, our culture, and our truth. For too long, global decisions have been made without us. Climate policy is discussed, and yet those who suffer most from its consequences, our farmers, our communities, are left outside the room. Trade agreements are signed, but our industries remain stifled by rules we didn't write. Wars are planned and fought in our territories, and when we ask why, we're told it's for our own good. This arrogance is no longer acceptable. We are not here to be managed. We are here to lead. Our voices will no longer be translated into polite footnotes. They will ring through these halls with the full weight of our conviction. This is not defiance. It is clarity. Clarity that we have as much right to speak and shape this world as anyone else. When we say Africa will no longer be silenced, we are not just talking about governments. We are talking about the voices in our villages, in our cities, in our youth. The farmers who work without credit while foreign companies sell their own products in our markets. The women who lead in our communities yet are ignored in boardrooms and ministries. The students who are learning not just to take jobs, but to create futures. They are no longer whispering, they are shouting. And the world must listen. Our silence was never consent. It was the result of oppression, manipulation, and fear. Colonial legacies told us to be grateful for being exploited. Post-colonial leaders were taught to be cautious, to maintain order, to accept crumbs in exchange for obedience. But that era is gone. The new generation is not afraid. We are not concerned with offending those who have built their comfort on our suffering. We are concerned with justice, with truth, with reclaiming the narrative that has too long been out of our hands. There are those who fear a loud Africa. They fear what happens when we no longer bow, when we no longer allow deals to be signed in the dark, when we no longer send our resources out without questioning who benefits, when we no longer allow foreign troops to dictate our security while claiming to protect our interests. Yes, some fear that, but fear is not a reason for us to be quiet. It is a reason for us to be louder, clearer, stronger. And make no mistake, our voice is not a threat. It is a reminder that no peace can be built on silence, that no justice can come from exclusion, that no partnership can survive when one side is always forced to listen, and the other is always allowed to speak. Africa's voice is not rising in anger. It is rising in truth. And truth, when spoken by the once oppressed, always sounds revolutionary. We are not against the world. We are against the lies told to us about the world. We are against the idea that Africa's only role is to be quiet and obedient while others make the plans. We are against the manipulation that tells us we must choose between survival and sovereignty, between progress and pride. We are told to be grateful for aid, when we are the ones who have fed the world, powered its industries, and sacrificed our sons and daughters for wars that were never ours. So let it be known, we will speak whether or not you listen. We will act whether or not you approve. We will rise whether or not you agree. Because we know now that silence serves only those who benefit from our quiet. And we are done serving them. The winds have changed. The tone has shifted. You can feel it in our music, in our movements, in our marches. You can hear it in our classrooms, in our streets, in our speeches. We are not asking. We are asserting. And our voice will echo through every institution that has ignored us, every system that has excluded us, and every agenda that was built without us. To those who still believe they can dismiss us with patronizing smiles and empty gestures, your time is up. We will no longer nod in agreement while our people suffer. We will no longer applaud your promises while our youth are denied opportunities. We will no longer be silent while our stories are rewritten by those who never lived them. This voice, this message, this moment, it does not belong to one leader, one country, or one microphone. It belongs to every Africa who has waited to be heard. And we will not lower our voice now. We have found our strength, and we are not giving it back. We are here. We are loud. And we are not going anywhere. You speak of freedom. You say it with pride, as if the very word belongs to you. You place it on your banners, in your speeches, and in every justification for your actions around the world. But what kind of freedom do you mean? Because when we look closely, we see a freedom that wears two faces. One for you, and one for the rest of us. You speak of liberty while placing chains on others. You champion democracy while undermining it elsewhere. And Africa knows this better than anyone. We have watched as you celebrated free elections in your countries, while turning a blind eye when our elections were sabotaged, either through funding opposition groups that serve your interests, or by supporting regimes that trample over their people just because they cooperate with your agenda. We have seen leaders rise with the support of their people, only to be painted as threats by your media because they refuse to sell our resources at a discount. Meanwhile, dictators who smile for your cameras receive praise, weapons, and financial aid, not because they bring peace to their people, but because they keep the doors open for your investments and the mouths of their people shut. This is not democracy. This is manipulation. This is control dressed in the language of freedom. And we are tired of the double standards. When your people protest, it is called democracy. When ours do, you call it instability. When your journalists investigate corruption, they are heroes. When ours do the same, they are labeled rebels, or worse, terrorists. When your economies struggle, it's a crisis. When ours struggle, you blame our people, our culture, our supposed incompetence. You use our challenges to write reports, to justify interventions, to issue loans that come with heavy chains disguised as terms and conditions. But let me ask you, how can you speak of justice while ignoring the injustice you helped create? You destabilize our countries through years of interference, and when chaos erupts, you say we are unfit to govern ourselves. You install puppet regimes, back coups, fund divisions, and then lecture us about governance and peace. You create the storm and then criticize us for not knowing how to swim. It's not just political, it's economic. You open your markets when it benefits you, but slam the doors shut when we try to compete. You demand that we open up to foreign corporations, but you protect your own industries with subsidies and laws. You speak of fair trade, but in truth, it is a system rigged from the start. Our raw materials are bought for a fraction of their value, while the finished products are sold back to us at 10 times the price. You call that development. We call it theft. And let's not forget the media. Your news networks pretend to be global, but their lens is one-sided. When there is violence in our countries, it is front page. When we build schools, hospitals, bridges, no coverage. When we make scientific advances, when we succeed, when we innovate, silence. The narrative is always the saming. Africa is poor, unstable, violent. You keep feeding this image because it serves your interest. Because as long as the world sees us as broken, no one will question your presence. No one will ask why your military bases are still here. Why your companies still hold rights to our land and water. Why your NGOs operate with more power than some of our elected leaders. You tell us to follow your model, to adopt your systems. But what have those systems brought us? Debt, dependency, and division. You said globalization would lift all boats, but ours were already sinking when you started sailing. You promised partnerships, but delivered control. You demanded transparency from us, while hiding your own actions behind legal walls, offshore accounts, and diplomatic immunity. And now, you speak of unity. You call on us to stand with you on the world stage. But unity without equality is just another form of dominance. We will not stand next to those who do not see us as equals. We will not march behind those who lead us in decisions that serve them, not us. We are not against cooperation, but true cooperation begins with honesty. And honesty begins with admitting that your so-called democracy is only democratic when it serves your interests. We are not children in need of guidance. We are not students in need of teachers. We are nations with our own histories, our own wisdom, our right to choose our path. We want peace, but not the kind of peace that is built on silence and submission. We want prosperity, but not prosperity that fills foreign banks while our people go hungry. We want freedom, but not the version that comes with strings and shadows. So let us be clear. If you continue to promote democracy with one hand, while holding a sword in the other, do not be surprised when we say no more. If you continue to call for human rights abroad, while violating them in your own actions, do not be shocked when we call out your hypocrisy. And if you think we will continue to play this game of pretend, where you act like leaders and we are meant to clap quietly from the sidelines, you are mistaken. The world is changing. The balance is shifting. The voices you tried to silence are now united. Africa will not be told how to live, how to lead, or how to dream. Not anymore. Because what you call freedom, we have learned to question. And what you call democracy, we have learned to see for what it truly is. A mask worn by those who fear the power of a continent that is finally awakening. Enough is enough. For decades, foreign powers have played dangerous games on African soil. Games that were never about our freedom, never about our peace, never about our progress. Behind closed doors, in the shadows of embassies and under the disguise of diplomacy, they have orchestrated conflicts, funded militias, installed leaders, and toppled governments. All in the name of protecting their interests. And now, today, I stand here not to ask, not to negotiate, but to make one thing very clear: Africa will no longer accept military interference, and we will not allow covert operations to dictate the destiny of our people. They speak of peace and security, yet send weapons into our borders. They speak of stability, yet train soldiers who later turn their guns on their own people. They claim to fight terrorism, yet their very presence, their very strategies, have created the instability they now use as an excuse to remain. Let's speak plainly. The so-called war on terror has become a tool for maintaining control. It is used to justify foreign military bases, drone operations, and intelligence networks spread across our lands, operating without transparency and without accountability. But we see it clearing for what it is: occupation, not protection. They claim they are here to help. They claim their presence prevents chaos. But let me ask, who lit the fire? Who armed the factions? Traoré. Who supported the regimes that killed our people in the streets? who trained the operatives that silenced dissenting voices, who orchestrated the coups that toppled leaders chosen by our people. Time and again, when African nations choose independence, real independence, not the illusion of it, we are met not with support, but with sabotage, and always it is done quietly, silently, through money, influence, propaganda, and secret operations. How many times have our dreams been stolen before they even had the chance to live? How many leaders with vision were removed before their vision could take form? The world remembers names like Lumumba and Sankara, but there are others whose stories were never told. Leaders who dared to challenge foreign domination, who dared to say no, who dared to choose their people first, and paid the price with their lives. Their assassinations were not random. Their removal was not a coincidence. They were part of a pattern, a long and bloody strategy to ensure Africa remained divided, dependent, and easy to exploit. And yet, despite all this, we are still here, still standing speaking, still rising. That is why they fear us. That is why the interference continues. Because the idea of an Africa that is truly free terrifies those who have built their power on our silence. But that fear belongs to them now, not to us. We are no longer afraid. We are no longer willing to play the game. We will no longer allow foreign soldiers to patrol our streets. We will no longer allow foreign agencies to fund conflict in one breath and offer peace deals in the next. We will no longer be fooled by smiles in public and sabotage in private. They justify their presence with words like strategy, partnership, and security cooperation. But ask the people on the ground, and they will tell you the truth. They will tell you about the bombings, the raids, the disappearances. They will tell you about the way foreign soldiers move with impunity, the way decisions are made far away, without their consent, without their knowledge. This is not partnership. It is control dressed as concern. It is modern-day colonialism, masked behind acronyms and agreements. They say we are not ready to handle our own security. But who defines readiness? Who decided that without them, we are nothing? We know our lands better than anyone. We know the threats we face, and we know that many of those threats would not exist if they had not been funded, trained, or armed by the very people claiming to protect us. You cannot destabilize a house, then blame the owner for the cracks in the wall. You cannot start the fire, then sell the water, and call yourself a savior. This must end. The foreign military presence on African soil must end. The intelligence networks working against our governments must be dismantled. The shadow games must stop. Let us build our own defense, our own strategies, our own peace. Not a peace imposed from above, but a peace that is rooted in justice, in truth, and in sovereignty. We are not naive. We know that security is complex, but it cannot be built on lies. It cannot be built on the backs of our people while enriching those who never face the consequences. If you truly want peace in Africa, then leave our decisions to us. Support us without strings. Respect our right to lead, to choose, to govern. Do not come with conditions masked as generosity. Do not use aid as leverage. Do not create chaos, then sell the solution. If you truly believe in democracy, then trust us to practice it without foreign influence. Trust us to handle our affairs without your hands on the levers. This is not a rejection of the world. This is a rejection of injustice. This is not isolation. It is self-determination. We welcome cooperation, but not at the cost of our independence. We are ready to defend ourselves, to protect our borders, to resolve our conflicts without foreign manipulation. We are capable. We are prepared. And we will not wait for permission to reclaim our right to security, our right to peace, our right to live free from interference. To every agency, every institution, every government that still believes it has the right to interfere in Africa's affairs behind closed doors, hear these words and understand them well. Your time is over. Look into the eyes of Africa's youth today, and you will no longer see hesitation or fear. You will not find submission or the silence that once defined a generation raised under the heavy shadow of foreign rule and internal betrayal. What you will see now is fire. What you will hear is clarity. Across every street, from dusty roads to digital spaces, in classrooms, in markets, in villages, and in cities, the youth of Africa are rising, not just to demand change, but to lead it. And this time, they are not asking for permission. They are not looking to old powers to validate their dreams. They are not waiting for global institutions to hand them solutions. They have seen enough broken promises, heard enough speeches, and read enough false reports about their lives written by people who have never walked in their shoes. This generation understands that no one will save us but ourselves. They understand that independence is not something you inherit. It is something you fight for, build with your own hands, and defend with your own voice. Too often, when the world speaks of Africa, it speaks in numbers. Poverty rates, unemployment figures, migration statistics. It talks about youth as a crisis, as a burden, as a threat. But we do not see our youth as a problem. We see them as the solution. They are not running from the continent. They are trying to fix it. And when the door is closed, they not wait for it to open. They create new doors, new paths, new systems. They are refusing to inherit the fear their parents were forced to carry. They are refusing to inherit silence. They are questioning everything. Our politics, our economy, our relationship with the world. They are tearing down the fake images of success and demanding something real. They are tired of being told that dignity must be sacrificed for development, that their voices must be moderated, that their futures must be negotiated behind closed doors. And they are not alone. They are connected. More connected than any generation before them. They share knowledge across borders, unite across languages, and build across cultures. A protest in one country inspires a movement in another. A victory in one city gives hope to an entire region. What used to take decades to change now moves in weeks, even days. The old systems can no longer contain their momentum. The revolution is no longer a dream whispered in the corners of dusty cafes. It is loud. It is visible. It is happening in real time. And it is not a revolution of violence, but of vision. A revolution that demands jobs built on real industries, not empty promises. That demands education that empowers, not indoctrinates. That demands leaders who serve the people, not their foreign masters. That demands that Africa stop being a raw material supplier for the world and start being the architect of its own economy, its own culture, its own destiny. We owe it to this generation to stand with them, not in front of them. To follow their lead when necessary. To admit that in many ways, they are braver than those who came before them. Because they are not just fighting the enemy outside. They are challenging the enemy within. The corruption, the complacency, the cowardice. They are daring to confront what we allowed to grow under our watch. And that takes courage. They have shown us that the revolution is not in guns or slogans alone. It's in starting businesses that don't rely on foreign donors. It's in building schools with local materials. It's in coding apps in local languages. It's in organizing community projects when the government fails to deliver. It's in music, in art, in fashion, in media that reflects who we truly are, not how we've been portrayed. They are rewriting the story of Africa, not beginning for a new chapter, but tearing out the old pages and writing a new book entirely. And in this new book, we are no longer characters in someone else's narrative. We are the authors. We are not waiting to be discovered by the world. We are discovering ourselves, defining ourselves, and deciding for ourselves. The youth are tired of funerals, tired of burying dreams, tired of burying friends lost to the sea, because they believed there was no future at home. They are saying, if the leaders cannot give us a future, we will take it. If the systems are broken, we will build new ones. If the world sees us only as numbers and statistics, we will make them see us as voices, as power, as purpose. And to those who still underestimate them, who still think this is just noise on the streets or anger on social media, let me say, clearly this is a force you can no longer ignore. This is not a wave. It is a tide. It is not a moment. It is a movement. And it will not stop. They are not coming to ask. They are coming to lead. They are coming to claim what is rightfully theirs. Not just resources or land, but dignity, respect, opportunity. They are coming for real independence. Not the symbolic kind that ends with flag-raising ceremonies, but the kind that begins with ownership. Of our policies, our economies, our futures. We must listen to them. Walk beside them. Protect them when they speak truth to power. Support them when they rise against injustice. And we must never again allow anyone, foreign or domestic, to silence them. Because they are not just the future. They are the now. For far too long, Africa has been treated like a project. Something to manage, something to fix, something to control. Every handshake came with strings. Every agreement with hidden clauses. Every promise with a quiet threat. We were not seen as equals. We were seen as tools, as leverage, as a means to an end. They came to our doors smiling, but always with a plan that served them first. And every time we resisted, every time we stood tall and said no, we were punished. Economically, politically, and even militarily. But those days are over. We are not your puppets. We are not here to entertain your policies, to carry your burdens, or to obey your orders while calling it diplomacy. Traoré. We are not here to nod silently in meetings, while decisions are made of our people without our voices in the room. We are not here to dance to rhythms composed in foreign capitals, while our own music is silenced. We have tried your system. We tried the loans, the so-called partnerships, the trade deals, the aid packages, the structural reforms, all written outside Africa and imposed on us, as if we had no minds of our own. And what did they bring us? Debt we could never escape. Contracts that emptied our soil and filled their vaults. Leaders propped up not by the people, but by foreign approval. What did we gain from being puppets? We lost our resources. We lost our voice. We lost time. Generations worth of time. But now we know. We have learned. And we are done being polite about our suffering. We are done dressing up our chains and calling them opportunities. We are done pretending that inequality is cooperation. We want partnerships, not control. We want respect, not pity. We want equality, not instructions. We are not asking for favors. We are asking for fairness. Because what we are demanding is not extraordinary. It is what every nation deserves. To be heard, to be respected, to have a say in the decisions that affect our people, to negotiate deals that benefit both sides, not just one, to reject contracts that sell our land for a price written in another language, to choose our friends based on our values, not based on who offers the biggest check. We are not anti-global. We are anti-manipulation. There's a difference. We are not against trade. We are against exploitation. We are not against cooperation. We are against dominance masked as partnership. They want to tell us who to trade with, who to ally with, how to vote, what to say. They threaten to isolate us if we don't comply. They call it diplomacy. But we see the strings. We hear the quiet ultimatums. We read between the lines. And this time, we are choosing differently. If your friendship comes with conditions that undermine our sovereignty, then it is not friendship. If your support demands that we stay silent while you rob us, then we do not need your support. If your aid comes with instructions to open our markets while you protect yours, then keep it. We will build with our own hands, at our own pace, with our own people. Our dignity is not negotiable. Our independence is not for sale. And let us be clear, when we say we are not your puppets, we are not turning our backs on the world. We are turning our backs on injustice. We are turning our backs on silence. We are turning our backs on a system that has kept us in the shadows while others grew rich from our light. We want to be partners. Real partners. Partners who sit at the table, not who are served last. Partners who contribute, who create, who lead. We bring value, we bring vision, we bring resources, yes. But we also bring ideas, culture, innovation, and courage. The world needs to stop treating Africa like a gar. We are not begging. We are building. And any partnership that does not recognize this new Africa is already outdated. This new Africa is speaking with its own voice. It is setting its own terms. It is redefining its identity, not based on colonial maps or donor conditions, but based on its people and their needs. We will choose who to work with. We will decide what kind of future we want. And those who wish to walk with us must understand this clearly: you do not lead us. We walk together. Let this be the final message to those who still see Africa as a tool to be used, a place to extract from, a continent to command. That era is dead. You can no longer pull the strings. You can no longer write our lines. You can no longer build your empires on our silence. We are not your puppets. We are your equals. And if you cannot accept that, then you are not ready for the future we are building.